Hey y'all, welcome back to Legally Live. Again, I'm your host, McKinley Molasaw, criminal defense attorney in Austin, Texas. And today we are returning to the topic of the Karen Reed case. Crazy, crazy case. Lots of stuff out there about it. This will be the second video that I've done on this case. And I just realized that in the first video, I actually failed to show anyone the probable cause affidavit. So I think we should start off today's stream by going over said affidavit. Let's get into it. So the first thing to note is that this probable cause affidavit is authored by Michael D. Proctor, who is a Massachusetts state police officer, and he is also a controversial figure in this investigation and in the entire case. He is, of course, not related, like blood related. He is related in he he is friends with some of the McCabe's and or Alberts. We'll get into it later, but there are issues with him. Anyway, it says, I, Michael D. Proctor, being duly sworn, depose and state that the following is true to the best of my knowledge. One, I, Trooper Michael Proctor, am a Massachusetts state police officer and have been a police officer since 2013. I am presently assigned to the State Police Detective Unit, SPDU, at the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office and have been so since September 2019. During that time, I have investigated and processed serious and violent crimes, including murder, suicides, sudden, suspicious, and unattended deaths, along with drug investigations. Through these investigations, I have participated in the execution of search warrants from which various types of evidence have been seized. I am trained in criminal investigations, including homicide, death investigations, crime scene investigation, collection of physical evidence, crime scene processing, and the investigations of such cases. I have received specialized training to obtain and analyze cellular telephone data and call detail records in support of criminal investigations. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in criminal justice from Anna Maria College. In addition to my assignment in the Division of Investigative Services, I have been assigned to the Division of Field Services working in Troop C, Central Massachusetts, and Troop H, Metro Boston. Based upon information contained in the numbered paragraphs below, which are the product of my own investigation and my discussions with Massachusetts state troopers and officers with the Canton Police Department involved in the investigation, I submit that I have probable cause for an arrest warrant to be issued for Karen Reed. I believe that evidence of the crime of manslaughter, a violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 265, Section 13, negligent motor vehicle homicide, a violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 24G B, and leaving the scene of an accident resulting in death, a violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 24 to a half 2. Okay. Exist and seek an arrest warrant for Reed. On January 29th, 2022, at approximately 6:04 a.m., Canton Police Department received a 911 call from a woman reporting a male party, John O'Keefe, found in the snow at 34 Fairview Road. At the time of the 911 call, there was heavy snow and the temperature was in the teens. Officer Seraph and Mulaney were dispatched to the scene along with Canton Fire and EMS. Officer Seraph arrived on scene and observed 3 males waving at him. Looking at 34 Fairview Road from the roadway, 3 females were in the left corner of the property. Officer Seraph observed the victim lying on the ground as 2 of the females were performing CPR. The 3 females on scene were identified by Canton PD as Karen Reed, Jennifer McCabe, and Carrie Roberts. Officer Seraph observed the victim to be cold to the touch, not breathing, and returned to his cruiser to retrieve his AED device. At this time, Canton Fire and EMS arrived on scene and took over first aid. Paramedics transported O'Keefe to Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton. O'Keefe was determined to be deceased several hours later by Dr. Justin Rice. Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, Detective Sergeant Michael Lang, and Sergeant Sean Good arrived on scene moments after the 911 call after the victim was transported to Good Samaritan Hospital. Lieutenant Gallagher, Detectives Sergeant Lang, and Sergeant Good began to search for any evidence. They discovered a broken cocktail-style glass and multiple patches of red that appeared to be blood in the vicinity of the victim. Canton officers secured the glass and 6 blood samples as evidence. Side note, they secured those 6 blood samples in red Solo cups because that's the way we do it. On January 29th, 2022, at approximately 11:30 a.m., so much later, Sergeant Buchanan and I requested to speak with Jennifer McCabe and her husband, Matthew. Both agreed to speak with us. We first spoke with Jennifer, who stated her and some friends were at the Waterfall Bar last night in Canton. Jennifer stated her and Matthew arrived at the Waterfall Bar at approximately 9 p.m. At approximately 11 p.m., John and Karen arrived at the Waterfall Bar together. John and Karen have been in a dating relationship for 2 years, and Karen stays at John's house most nights. Jennifer observed Karen walk into the bar holding a glass from C.F. McCarthy's with a clear liquid inside, what she believed to be a vodka soda drink. Jennifer observed John wearing a baseball hat, jeans, and sneakers. John and Karen were at C.F. McCarthy's bar across the street before going to the Waterfall Bar. Jennifer stated John and Karen appeared to be in a good mood and did not observe any arguing amongst the two. Jennifer described the atmosphere inside the bar as friendly, and there were no arguments amongst any patrons. As the bar began to close down, everyone was invited back to 34 Fairview Road. Jennifer observed Karen and John leave Waterfall Bar together. As the group was exiting the bar, John texted Jennifer where to at 12:14 a.m. Jennifer replied with the address 34 Fairview Road. At 12:18 a.m., John called Jennifer to ask where the house was located on Fairview Road. While inside the residence, Jennifer observed a black SUV arrive in front of 34 Fairview Road from the front door. Jennifer texted John at 12:31 a.m., hello, and at 12:40 a.m., texted, pull up behind me. Jennifer observed the black SUV move from the initial place. The vehicle stopped on the street near the driveway and then proceed to the left side of the property. At 12:45 a.m., Jennifer texted John, hello, and then observed the black SUV drive away. Jennifer stated they discovered John in the area where she last observed the SUV left side of the property. At approximately 4:53 a.m., Jennifer received a phone call from Karen looking for John. Karen was distraught and drove over to Jennifer's house. Karen told Jennifer she last remembered seeing John at the Waterfall Bar. Jennifer informed Karen she observed John and her leave the bar together. Jennifer drove Karen's vehicle from her house back to John's because Karen was too hysterical to drive and had Carrie Roberts follow them. While driving to John's house, Karen stated to Jennifer, could I have hit him? Did I hit him? Jennifer stated Karen told her about a cracked taillight on her vehicle. Once they arrived at John's house, Karen and Jennifer look at the cracked taillight. Jennifer described the passenger side right rear taillight as cracked. Jennifer and Karen entered Carrie's vehicle to look for John. Karen was seated in the back as Carrie drove, and Jennifer was seated in the front passenger seat. Jennifer stated that they turned onto Fairview Road from Chapman Street. At the time, it was snowing heavily, creating poor visibility. Jennifer stated just prior to 34 Fairview Road, there is a cluster of trees, and immediately Karen stated she saw John. Jennifer and Carrie were not able to see John and initially confused by Karen's statements. Jennifer stated Carrie began wiping snow off of John and Karen laid on top of him for warmth and then began CPR. Sergeant Buchanan and I arrived at Good Samaritan Hospital to view the victim. I observed approximately 6 bloodied lacerations varying in length on O'Keefe's right arm. The cuts extended from his forearm to bicep. Both of the victim's eyes were swollen shut and black and blue. I observed a cut to the right eyelid area of the victim. The victim's clothing, blue jeans, orange t-shirt, long sleeve shirt, and boxer shorts were saturated and contained blood and vomit on his boxers. I observed one black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo on the side belonging to the victim. On January 31st, 2022, Dr. Irene Scorbello from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner in Mashpee conducted the autopsy of John O'Keefe. Dr. Scorbello advised of several abrasions to the right forearm, 2 swollen black eyes, a small cut above the right eye, cut to the left side of the nose, approximately 2-inch laceration to the back of the head, and multiple skull fractures that resulted in bleeding. Dr. Scorbello advised the victim's pancreas was a dark red color indicating hypothermia was a contributing factor. On January 29th, 2022, at approximately 12:15 p.m., Sergeant McKennick and I conducted the interview of Matthew McCabe. Matthew stated he has known John for approximately 8 years and met Karen a handful of times. Hold on one second. Let's see here. Okay, so they say, I guess it seems like they're saying that the interview with Jennifer McCabe started at 11:30 a.m., right? Matthew stated he has known John, and then they're saying at 12:15 they started to interview Matthew McCabe, her husband. Stated he has known John for approximately 8 years and met Karen a handful of times. Matthew stated that he was at the Waterfall Bar on Saturday night and observed John and Karen enter. Matthew observed John wearing a baseball hat with a curved visor and Karen drinking a clear liquid drink, possibly vodka. Matthew stated everyone was going to 34 Fairview Road from the bar. So to Brian and Nicole Albert. Matthew entered his vehicle and his wife, Jennifer, was on the phone with John, telling him to go to 34 Fairview Road. While at the Fairview residence, Matthew observed a large dark SUV pull up on the street. Matthew was looking out the front door and described the SUV initially parked in front of the house. Matthew looked out a window and observed the same vehicle had moved towards the right side of the property. From Matthew's vantage point inside and through the front door, the vehicle was to his right or left side of the property if looking at the house from the street. Matthew's last sighting of the vehicle on Fairview Road was in the area of where the victim was discovered. On January 29th, 2022 at 5:25 p.m., troopers Matthew Dunn and David Disico, I have no idea, conducted the interview of Carrie Roberts. At approximately 5 a.m., Carrie received a phone call from Karen stating John did not come home. It was snowing and she was worried. Carrie met Karen at Jennifer McCabe's house and observed Karen to be hysterical. Carrie stated she believed Karen was still intoxicated in the morning and told Carrie she did not remember last night. Karen stated, I was so drunk, I don't even remember going to your sister's house last night. Jennifer's sister lives at 34 Fairview Road. Carrie followed Karen's black Lexus SUV back to John's house. Carrie drove Jennifer and Karen to 34 Fairview to look for John. Carrie described the weather as whiteout conditions as they were driving around. As they arrived at 34 Fairview Road, Karen stated, there he is, I see him from inside the vehicle. Carrie stated only Karen saw John as he was covered in snow and through whiteout conditions. Carrie stated after they exited the vehicle, Karen stated, I see him. Carrie was still not able to see John at that point due to the weather conditions. Carrie observed John approximately 12 feet from the roadway, swollen right eye with a laceration above it, and blood around the nose and mouth. Carrie stated they began CPR and called 911. On February 1st, 2022, Trooper Proctor, spoke with Carrie via phone. Carrie stated on January 29th, 2022, at approximately 5 a.m., she was contacted by Karen. Carrie answered the phone to hear Karen stated, John's dead, Carrie. Carrie, I wonder if he's dead. It's snowing. He got hit by a plow. Okay. Like, why did he wait until February 1st to conduct his own interview? Okay. On January 29th, 2022, at approximately 4:30 p.m., Sergeant McKennick and I arrived at 345 Country something Drive in Dighton, Massachusetts. The residence is the home of Karen Reed's parents. Upon arrival, Sergeant McKennick and I observed a large black Lexus SUV bearing Massachusetts registration, and then it gives the number. The vehicle is registered to Karen Reed. The vehicle was parked outside in the driveway in front of a garage door. We observed the rear right passenger side taillight to be shattered. So now it's shattered, not just cracked, shattered. A large red plastic piece was missing from the taillight. That is very shattered. Sergeant Buchanan and I were invited inside by the homeowners. Karen was seated on a living room couch and agreed to speak with us. Karen, this is your first mistake right here. Agreeing to speak with law enforcement. Terrible idea. I get it. Like, John was law enforcement, so she trusted them, but she should not have. Karen stated she met the victim at C.F. McCarthy's bar in Canton at approximately 9 p.m. on January 22nd, 2022. The victim was there with several friends prior to Karen's arrival. Karen stated the victim was consuming beer and she was drinking vodka sodas. Karen described the glassware she was drinking out of as a vase style. So clearly, they asked her about the glass that she was drinking out of. She stated her and the victim left C.F. McCarthy's and went to Waterfall Bar. Karen stated she did not leave C.F. McCarthy's or enter the Waterfall Bar with a glass or drink. So clearly, they asked her about that as well. Karen and the victim were at the waterfall for approximately 1 hour. During that time, there were no altercations or arguments amongst anyone. When Karen and the victim left the Waterfall Bar, they were invited to a house on Fairview Road. Karen stated she dropped the victim at the house on Fairview and went home since she was having stomach issues at the previous bar. Karen stated that she dropped the victim off. She made a 3-point turn in the street and left. Karen did not see the victim enter the house. Karen told investigators she first observed the broken tail light in the morning and did not know how she broke it last night. While at the two bars, Karen stated she did not observe any injuries, cuts on the victim's arms, and the victim did not suffer any injuries or cuts while at the bars. When Karen discovered the victim in the morning, she observed him lying face up, snow on his legs, eyes swollen, and blood coming from his nose and mouth. Karen began providing mouth to mouth. Karen attempted to contact the victim throughout the night, calling and texting him numerous times with no response. Karen informed investigators her and the victim were in a verbal argument that morning over what Karen fed the victim's niece for breakfast. So clearly, this is what investigators do. They ask you about your relationship and if you've had any arguments. And she just thought she was, being honest and decided to disclose that they had a fight earlier that morning about what she fed the victim's niece for breakfast. Terrible idea. Now you see it in the probable cause affidavit. Also, none of these interviews were recorded, which is a gigantic problem. Like, gigantic problem. So we can't go back to it and see if Karen said that she made a 3-point turn, but I know there is some disagreement about that. It would be great if we could refer back to the recording, but there isn't one. So that's a problem. On January 30th, 2022, at approximately 1 p.m., Sergeant Buchanan and I interviewed firefighter Katie McLaughlin at the Canton Police Department. Katie was assigned to Station 1 on Saturday, January 29th, 2022. Katie stated at approximately 5 a.m., Canton Fire and EMS were dispatched. Okay, so 5 a.m.? I don't think that's the right time. Okay, anyway, so at 5 a.m., Canton Fire and EMS were dispatched to 34th Fairview Road for a male party discovered in the snow and unresponsive. Upon arrival, Katie observed the victim being worked on by paramedics. Once inside the ambulance, so there were other paramedics already there. Once inside the ambulance, Katie observed the victim wearing jeans, socks, and one black Nike sneaker. The victim's shirts were cut and chest exposed for chest compressions. Katie exited the ambulance to speak with Karen as to the victim's identity and any medical history. Katie described Karen as a white female, approximately 5'5", thin, brown blonde hair, brown eyes, and early 40s in age. Karen provided the victim's name and date of birth. Katie asked Karen if she knew where the victim suffered the trauma to his face. And I can't read what the other thing is because of the stamp. Katie stated Karen turned to her friend and stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Number 11. On January 29th, 2022 at approximately 5:30 p.m., Sergeant Buchanan and I seized the black Lexus, I don't know, something, bearing Massachusetts registration, VIN number from the driveway of 345 Country Hill Drive, Dighton. Diamond Towing transported the vehicle to the Canton Police Department where it was secured in their Sallyport garage. Note, 5:30 p.m. is not when the vehicle was actually towed. It is just what Trooper Proctor or Officer Proctor or whatever his name is decided to put in the PC, not the actual truth. And there is video that contradicts that. Sergeant Buchanan and I traveled behind the tow truck from the residence to the Canton Police Department. On February 1st, 2022, at 9 a.m., from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Scene Services Collision Analysis Reconstruction Section and laboratory chemists processed the black Lexus bearing Massachusetts, whatever, at the Canton Police Department. Fragments of broken glass was observed on the rear bumper of the vehicle. So is that from like the cocktail glass? Is that what they're saying? Or the whatever, the glass that they found by his body? Or is that from the light? The rear right passenger side taillight was shattered and pieces missing from the red and clear areas. On the right side of the rear tailgate, a deep scratch and minor dent was observed. On the right side of the rear bumper, above a small red light, 2 scratches were observed and one area where the paint was chipped off. Troopers from cars performed a rapid acceleration forward and reverse and noted that there were no deficiencies with the braking system. A training figure resembling a human, approximately 6 feet tall in height, was placed behind the Lexus. The vehicle was operated by members of cars and documented with video by Crime Scene Services. The vehicle was placed in reverse and started to travel towards the training figure. The rear view camera was operating properly, providing a 180-degree visual. As the Lexus traveled closer to the figure, auditory and visual cues sounded off, indicating an obstruction to the rear. So they performed these tests when? On February 1st? Is that when they did it? That's crazy. So that means that, okay, so you see all the effort they put into proving their case against Karen, right? They're doing all of these like tests on the vehicle to make sure that there weren't any issues with the reverse and everything. But like, why didn't they ever go inside the home where his body was found? I mean, that seems like the first thing that you would do, right? On January 29th, 2022, the Massachusetts Special Emergency Response Team, CERT, was activated to assist in searching for potential evidence outside of 34 Fairview Road. When looking at 34 Fairview Road from the street, there's a fire hydrant on the far left of the property. Members from CERT located a black Nike sneaker with a white Nike logo along the side. The sneaker, located by CERT, matches the one sneaker the victim was wearing at the time he was transported by MS to Good Samaritan Hospital. In the same area are 2 red plastic pieces of taillight were discovered, consistent to the missing pieces on Karen Reed's black SUV or Lexus SUV. One piece of clear plastic piece of a taillight was located in the same area, also consistent with the broken taillight of the Lexus SUV. Notice it doesn't say what time CERT went to go and perform this new search for evidence out of the street, but we will find out later that it was much later in the evening. It was actually after the tow truck was towed to Canton Police Department. And then, like an hour after that, I think, they do the search and they find the taillight, the pieces of taillight, and in the area where his body was found, along with the other black Nike sneaker. So I'm gonna have to ask, does that mean that the Alberts were inside their home and had been alerted to the fact that he showed up with only one sneaker and they were like, we got to make this make sense because they had already searched Karen's car at that point and knew that the sneaker wasn't in there, right? And so they're like, we need that sneaker. So what'd they do? They went inside their house, got the sneaker, and went back out to the street and put it where his body was. And also, a proctor had time to go and sprinkle the pieces of the pieces of taillight because I'm pretty sure there are no photos taken of the vehicle as it appeared sitting in the driveway of Karen Reed's parents' house, because that would be helpful if we had those to show us that the taillight was indeed actually shattered at that point and missing those pieces of taillight. But no, we don't have that. Based on the information in the above paragraphs, witness statements, evidence recovered at the scene, damage to Karen Reed's Lexus SUV consistent to items located at the scene, the trauma to the victim, and statements made by Reed to friends, I believe that the crimes of manslaughter, a violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 265, Section 13, negligent motor vehicle homicide, a violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 24GB, and leaving this scene of an accident resulting in death, a violation of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 90, Section 24(2), a half 2, was committed at 34 Fairview Road, Canton. The victim being identified as one John O'Keefe suffered significant blunt force trauma, and the bodily injuries sustained by him proved to be substantial, in that fact establishing the grounds for an issuance of an arrest warrant for Karen Reed. Signed by Trooper Michael Proctor on February 1st. So they go and do these tests and then immediately go and get a magistrate or somebody to sign off on this PC saying they have probable cause to arrest Karen Reed. Crazy. Crazy. I mean, even in their own probable cause affidavit, which turns out to not even be factual, they seem like they're severely lacking in probable cause that she's the one that did this. Oh, and also I should mention that the charges have now been upgraded to murder. It is no longer vehicular manslaughter or whatever that was, or just leaving the scene of an accident. Nope, nope, nope. Actual murder. Like she did it intentionally, which is crazy. So that is the PC. But that doesn't even begin to tell like this story at all. There are so many players involved in this story, and the probable cause affidavit mentions like barely any of them. Probably for good reason, because they are not trying to throw any of the other players under the bus. But I just find it interesting that they didn't, it doesn't even appear that they really did an investigation into the other party, like individuals at the party at the Alberts house that night, like at all. And that's okay. I don't remember which documents we went over last time. So hold on a moment while I try and figure that out. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like in the last video, we went over the request for the records from regarding the dog of the Alberts. And then we also looked at the interviews of Julie and Chris Albert, the interview of Nicole Albert, and the interview of Brian Albert. So now I would like to show you guys the interview of Jennifer McCabe. Let's see. That's not what I want to show, guys. That is not what I want to show. Hold on. Okay, so it looks like once again, this this interview report, memorandum, whatever, was typed up on April 6th, 2022 by Trooper Michael Proctor, and it says interview of Jennifer McCabe at 12 Country Lane, Canton, Massachusetts. Regarding John O'Keefe vehicle homicide. Okay. On January 29th at approximately 6:04 a.m., the Canton Police Department received a 911 call for a male party. John O'Keefe discovered unresponsive outside of 34 Fairview Road. Canton Police, Fire, and EMS responded to the scene. Canton Fire and EMS were dispatched to 34 Fairview Road for an unresponsive male discovered outside in the snow, and CPR was in progress. Canton EMS transported the victim to Good Samaritan Hospital, where he was determined to be deceased. Prior to being discovered, the victim was at Waterfall Bar and then traveled to 34 Fairview Road for a gathering with friends. Present at the Waterfall Bar and the residence on Fairview Road was Jennifer McCabe. Sergeant Buchanan and I met with Jennifer at 12 Country Lane on January 29th, 2022 at 11:30 a.m. and agreed to speak with investigators. Jennifer and her husband, Matthew McCabe arrived at the Waterfall Bar in Canton Center at approximately 9 o'clock p.m. on Friday, January 28th. At the Waterfall, they met a group of friends for some drinks, food, and watched a live band. At approximately 11 o'clock, John O'Keefe and Karen Reed entered the Waterfall Bar from C.F. McCarthy's bar. Jennifer and John have been friends for a long time and met Karen when the two started dating 2 years ago. John walked into the Waterfall wearing a baseball hat, jeans, and sneakers. Jennifer observed Karen walk into the bar holding a drinking glass with a vodka mixed drink inside. She left C.F. McCarthy's with. Oh, okay, that's new. So, oh no, that's not new, I guess. Okay, but how would she know that she left C.F. McCarthy's with it? Jennifer stated there was no arguments amongst Karen and John or anyone else inside of the Waterfall. Jennifer stated John and Karen did not appear to be overly intoxicated when they arrived. As the band was cleaning up, Brian Albert invited everyone back to his house at 34 Fairview Road, Canton. As everyone began to leave the Waterfall, Jennifer observed John and Karen leave together. John texted Jennifer at approximately 12:14 a.m. asking where to. Jennifer responded to John's text with the address 34 Fairview. Jennifer spoke with John at 12:14 a.m. and provided him the address. At 12:18 a.m., John called Jennifer to inquire where exactly the house was on Fairview Road. While at 34 Fairview Road, Jennifer observed a large black SUV on the street outside of the house and went to the front door. The black SUV did not pull into the driveway but parked on the street by the entrance of the driveway. Jennifer observed the black SUV parked out front and texted John, "Hello, pull up behind me," at 12:31 a.m. Jennifer texted John again at 12:40 a.m. "Hello, where are you?" And then again at 12:45 a.m. "Hello." When Jennifer sent the last text to John, she observed the black SUV drive away and assumed Karen and John went home. Jennifer stated John did not reply to any of her text messages. Jennifer stated she first observed the vehicle parked on the street by the driveway facing in the direction towards Chapman Street. Jennifer then observed the vehicle travel along the road towards the left side of the property in the area of where John was discovered in the morning. Jennifer and her husband left the residence at approximately 1:30 a.m. and went home at approximately 4:53 a.m. On January 29th. Jennifer received a call from John's niece. Karen was on the phone hysterical and looking for John. Karen told Jennifer that she went home alone last night and last saw John at the Waterfall Bar. Jennifer had to correct Karen and told her they left the Waterfall Bar together and went to 34 Fairview Road. Jennifer told Karen to come to her house on Country Lane and they will go look for John together. Karen arrived at Jennifer's house in her black Lexus SUV. Jennifer stated she drove Karen's car back to John's house where Carrie Roberts met them. Okay, so she's saying that Carrie Roberts met them at John O'Keefe's house. Okay. While driving back to John's house, Karen stated to Jennifer, "Could I have hit him? Did I hit him?" Karen also told Jennifer about a broken taillight on her black SUV. Once Karen, Jennifer, and Carrie arrived at John's house, they looked at the broken taillight. Jennifer stated she observed a broken, cracked right taillight to Karen's SUV. So cracked, broken. Jennifer and Karen got into Carrie's vehicle to go look for John. Karen was in the back seat and Jennifer sat in the front passenger seat. Jennifer described the weather at this time as snowing heavily. Jennifer stated the first place they went to look for John was 34 Fairview Road. They traveled down Chapman Street and took a right turn onto Fairview Road. Just prior to the front yard at 34 Fairview is a group of trees on the left side of the road. There are not, but okay. Immediately passing the group of trees, Karen stated, "I see him." Jennifer stated, With the heavy snow, her and Carrie could not see John and did not know what Karen was talking about. The three exited the vehicle. Carrie began wiping snow off John. Jennifer called 911, and Karen laid on top of him for warmth and stated, "Oh my God, did I hit him?" John was discovered on the left side of the property, the area where Karen's SUV was last seen earlier that night, with approximately 6 inches of snow covering him. Jennifer stated Karen began mouth to mouth, and when she discovered John's blood on her face, she stated, "Oh my God, do I have my period?" Using a cell phone application called Life 360, Jennifer was able to provide the following times. 5:39 a.m., Karen arrived at the McCabe's residence. 5:46 a.m. How would Jennifer be able to tell from Life 360 what time Karen arrived at their residence? But whatever. At the McCabe's residence at 5:46 a.m., Jennifer, Karen, and Carrie arrive at John O'Keefe's house. Okay, so now Jennifer, Karen, and Carrie all arrive at John O'Keefe's at the same time. So was Carrie following them? At 5:53 a.m., the three leave John O'Keefe's house, and at 6:04 a.m., they discover John outside of 34 Fairview Road. The end. That's it. Done. Hmm. Okay, again, like I said, this is going to be the interview of Matthew McCabe with that's Jen McCabe's husband, again, typed on April 7th, 2022 by Michael Proctor. We're not going to read this paragraph again, paragraph 1, because it's just about the facts of the case, right? So 2. Matthew has known John for approximately 8 years and met Karen Reed a handful of times. He did not know of any medical oops, I lost my of any medical issues John may have had. Matthew and his wife Jennifer arrived at the bar at approximately 9:00 p.m. on Friday, January 28th. Matthew stated they went to the bar to have some drinks and food with friends. Matthew stated John and Karen entered the waterfall bar by themselves, and John was wearing a baseball hat with a curved visor. Matthew did not observe any arguing amongst John and Karen or with anyone else inside the bar. Matthew stated Karen was consuming a clear liquid he believed to be a vodka drink. As the night was winding down, Matthew went over to speak with the band as everyone in the bar was leaving. Matthew stated John and Karen left before him, and the only people left inside of the bar were the 4 band members and himself. So he claims he is the very last one to leave. Matthew left and got into his vehicle where Jennifer was waiting for him, and it looks like it says beard her, but heard her call John to invite him to Brian's Albert house. This is a little different than what we read in the PC. Also, note that he also says that that John O'Keefe was wearing a hat with a curved visor. I think in the PC, were they talking about Matthew McCabe describing it that way, or were they talking about Brian Albert describing it that way? Because that would be weird if they both had the same words for it. Also, importantly, he says that he was talking to the band when everyone else left, right? So he was just standing there talking to the 4 band members, and they were the only ones left in the bar. While at 34 Fairview Road, Matthew stated he observed. Oh, wait. Also, it says that when he got into the car, Jennifer was waiting for him, and he heard her call John to invite him. In the probable cause affidavit, it said he got into the car and his wife was talking to John O'Keefe. So a little bit different. Matthew stated he observed a big, dark SUV parked to the right of the house. Matthew stated he was making these observations from the front door. Matthew stated he looked out the front window and observed the same big, dark SUV had moved to the other side of the property, approximately 15 to 20 feet. Matthew was not sure how long the vehicle was outside for, but did not hear any loud noises or screaming from inside. Matthew stated both times he observed the vehicle on the street, the headlights were facing towards Chapman Street. Matthew stated he observed tire tracks in the snow on the street in front of the house from all the way inside. Matthew described the pattern as a wave or V shape. Matthew stated the tire tracks went from the curb in front of 34 Fairview towards the neighbor across the street and then back towards the curb. The pattern of the tracks were consistent with making a 3-point turn. Matthew stated he did not see these tracks prior to the big black SUV arriving outside of the house. The end. The end. Okay, so Matthew McCabe says that he sees the big SUV outside. He sees it move 15 to 20 feet, and he also sees a big wave pattern in the street, tire marks in the snow. Okay. Well, we are already at 40 minutes and 51 seconds. So we are going to go ahead and end this video here because I need to go to bed. Go ahead and like and subscribe. I will add this to the Karen Reed playlist, and you can go to that playlist and see the other videos in the playlist. Like, subscribe, share, do all the things, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Thanks, guys. Bye.